St. Philip II of Moscow was a Russian Orthodox monk, who became Metropolitan of Moscow during the reign of Ivan the Terrible. He was one of a few Metropolitans who dared openly to contradict royal authority, and it is widely believed that the Tsar had him murdered on that account. He is venerated as a saint and martyr in the Eastern Orthodox Church. Life. He was born Fyodor Stepanovich Kalichev into one of the noblest boyar families of Muscovy, in the city of Gallic. However, according to some sources, he was born in Moscow. Grand Prince Vasily III took young Theodore into the royal court. It is said that since childhood Theodore was on friendly terms with Ivan IV of Russia. According to other accounts, he was involved in the conspiracy of Prince Andrei of Staritsa against Elena Glinskaya, and, when the plants were discovered, he escaped to Solovetsky Monastery on the White Sea. Yet another account says that his decision to become a monk occurred on Sunday, June 5, 1537, while he was standing in church for the Divine Liturgy. On hearing the words of Jesus, "No man can serve two masters," according to this account, he secretly left Moscow dressed as a muzhik, and for a while he hid himself away from the world in the village of Kisna, near Lake Onega, earning his livelihood as a shepherd, later joining the monastery at Solovsk. At any rate, he entered the monastery at Solovki at the age of 30, and a year and a half later he was tonsured, receiving the religious name of Philip. In the monastery he worked at the iron forge and as a baker. 11 years later, Philip was made hegumen of the monastery. During his term in office, they constructed 2 cathedrals, a brickyard, many water mills and storehouses, and a network of canals connecting 72 lakes. It is said that Philip took part in all these toils together with other monks. As a result, the monastery experienced a spiritual revival. He also adopted a new monastic rule for the community. Most of Philip's projects in Solovki survive to this day. The Tsar heard about the indefatigable monk and asked him to fill the vacant Metropolitan See of Moscow. Philip agreed on condition that Ivan would abolish oprichnina. On June 25, 1566, Philip was consecrated a bishop and enthroned as Metropolitan of Moscow and all Russia. After only 2 years, however, Ivan the Terrible persisted with committing murders under the aegis of oprichnina. During Great Lent, on the Sunday of the Veneration of the Cross, March 2, 1568, when the Tsar came to the cathedral for Divine Liturgy, Philip refused to bless him and publicly rebuked him for the ongoing massacre. The massacre of Novgorod ensued, and Philip's condemnation followed. Ivan eventually deposed Philip from office by raising incredible charges of sorcery and dissolute living. Philip was arrested during liturgy at the Cathedral of Dormition and imprisoned in a dingy cell of the Theophany Monastery, fettered with chains, with a heavy collar around his neck, and was deprived of food for a few days in succession. Then he was transferred and immured at the Monastery of the Fathers at Tver. In November 1568, the Tsar summoned the Holy Synod, which had Philip deposed. A year later, on December 23, 1569, he was strangled by the Tsar's minion, Malyuta Skuratov, at Otrik 2 days before Christmas. As if aware of his approaching death, Philip had asked to receive Holy Communion 3 days earlier. Commemoration as a saint. After his martyrdom, monks from Solovki Monastery asked for permission to transfer the body of St. Philip to the monastery. When they opened up the tomb, they found the body of the hierarch was incorrupt, and various healings began to be reported. The transfer of his remains from Tver to the Solovki Monastery took place in 1590. In 1652, Patriarch Nikon persuaded persuaded Tsar Alexis to bring Philip's relics to Moscow, where he was glorified later that same year. His memory is celebrated 3 times a year. His main feast day falls on January 9th. The feast of the translation of his relics is celebrated on July 3rd. On October 5th he is celebrated as one of the hierarchs of Moscow, the celebration of a special day to honor Saints Peter, Alexis, and Jonah as Metropolitans and wonder-workers of all Russia, was established by Patriarch Job in 1596. In 1875, St. Innocent Metropolitan of Moscow proposed that St. Philip be included with the others. Appearances in modern media: Ivan the Terrible, a Soviet-era film about Ivan IV of Russia. Tsar, a 2009 Russian drama film directed by Pavel Lungin.